Time now for the voice of the land on the Big Play Network with your hosts, Kevin Arnold and Always Positive Jay.
It's kind of weird that we're talking NFL draft. And again, join those guys at 7 p.m. at the Brick House on the Dogs Table. They'll be breaking down the second round because they don't have a first round pick to break down. The Browns use that.
That they know
of, at least. Now, the Browns have shut down to the media, I've heard. They've shut down the cross-country mortgage facility out in Berea to the media on Thursday night. So that leads you to expect that they're not going to do anything. But this team has shown that there's nothing that you can't expect with them, except that they're going to do their due diligence and they're going to make football decisions informed by analytics. So
Andrew Berry never says anything in press conferences. In this last one, he actually dropped that nugget where he said something where along the lines, if a player of their value happens to fall, they don't mind doing something creative to move up and pretty much.
Yeah, that's interesting, right?
Because he don't ever say anything. I caught that.
Especially the word creative and the way that he used it. That he understands, and like it's not that he spoke out of turn there. Like, let's be real, they're gonna have to get creative because they don't have a first round pick this year, next year, or the year after. So I fully expect him to be in full creative mode. And I'll be honest with you guys, I'll be floored if they draft at 44. I truly will be, because I think we saw how this front office approaches things last season. And with so many good wide receivers, defensive ends, which is, the biggest needs for the Browns right now, they're going to be within striking distance to get up to, pick 40 with the Seahawks, 41 with the Seahawks as well. And then that costs nothing, to hop 3 spots to go get your guy that you actually want. So I think there is going to be small creative ways. And then the big question that's still sitting out there is Baker Mayfield is still on this roster as it sits right now. Mm-hmm. I know Mike Tannenbaum, who, thinks he's plugged in the NFL because he had a GM job for 30 seconds.
That is terrible at.
Dude, yeah, exactly. He's saying that the Browns are going to have to part with 44 overall to move Baker Mayfield. That's just not true. I truly think that they're going to try to move up even a little bit as much as they can to get a player that they like. And if none of those guys are there and they don't feel comfortable with that, perfect opportunity to move back and recoup some of the stuff that you lost with Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, Jay, how excited are you for this draft?
I'm normally really excited.
Can you even quantify it?
On a 1 to 10, I guess I'd say a 3.
Really?
But
I'm different though.
Oh yeah, I'm normally super excited, but I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna be dead honest. The whole watch thing's got me really bummed out about the Browns right now still, and yeah, I just couldn't get excited. I just kind of been ignoring football, to be honest with you guys. I'm like, all right, I'm not getting into this right now, but. I love watching the draft itself still. I do get excited because there's what other show do you get to watch people congratulations, you won your dream job and this is where you're going and you've won your dream job. It's really cool experience. I love watching the excitement of those kids. Even if we didn't have a team, I would still watch the draft for that reason. I do like it that way, but man, it hurts not having that first rounder. I was really looking forward to one of those Ohio State receivers too. That hurt.
Yeah. My excitement level is probably similar to yours for the same reason, because this whole Watson thing just still has me conflicted. And again, Twitter's not real. It's okay that, to feel that way. And if people are excited about it, it's okay to feel that way too. I'm not here. We're never going to tell anybody how to feel about this circumstance. It's so unique. It's so different. And there's a lot to it. I just still don't feel very comfortable. And I haven't gotten into much football or, listened to much of the stuff. I tried to listen to Andrew Berry before, but I knew it's going to be, saying a lot to say a little, that we've got 3 of the best GMs in all of sports history doing that in press conferences. But my excitement level is low too, because not having that first round pick, it's the prestige as a fan for your team, that first round pick, which of the top talents has been talked about forever. And you've heard during college football season, now you're hearing about them in this pre-draft process, and you're watching Mel Kiper, Todd McShay, all Dane Brugler, all these guys talk about the same names over and over and over again, possibly being those game changers in the first round. We don't have that. So I don't have that excitement to look forward to.
I didn't read a single mock draft after we lost our first pick. And I probably read 10 of those a day normally.
I know. Yeah. Especially, especially the last week, you got all the NFL Network, ESPN, they have their mock drafts live. They're almost running it a first round. We don't have anything in there, but there's also 7 or 8 other teams that don't have a first round
historic.
Pick. So like the excitement level just feels down. What I'm still excited for as a fan of just the NFL or that draft, the way that they do it and the best doing it is kind of what you were just saying, Jay, in terms of like the excitement. Like you get to see someone, get that call about that you got the job after your interview. Like you got the job. Most of us, when we get our jobs, like no one sees it. There's nothing, but you see like the relief, the emotion from these players, especially on day 3, when a lot of people aren't watching these picks don't seem to matter that much. You get these videos from the inside the houses of these kids just.
Those are by far the better. When they're at home, the reactions are far better.
Dude, I don't know. This draft is going to be crazy. We finally got. I think this is the one that got canceled because of COVID.
Yeah. This is a Vegas one, so it might be wild.
We got the Bellagio one, so like they're literally going to boat the prospects to the stage in the Bellagio.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
How long is that going to take? Is there going to be prop bets on that?
That's what I'm saying. There is draft prop bets, so that's another. I'm going to be betting on every pick.
And I'm going to be, for free. Let's be real. Second I hear that, I'm like, all right, I'm hooked. Let's go. It's draft night. And we should be excited because I mean, look at our second round picks. You get Nick Chubb, Delpit, JOK. Like, we've been nailing our second round picks. Like, you're going to get a good player there.
Delpit was 44 overall. If there's anything to be optimistic about, Delpit was 44. 44 is where you sit now. So that's kind of the bar.
Yeah. Second and third round, you're still getting starters for your team because with these positions that are so deep, defensive line, wide receiver, there's still going to be good players there. What's the gap between the tier that you could have been at 13 versus this gap that's, the talent that's going to be available once you turn things around to Friday for round number 2. But speaking on Friday, because that's going to be where the Browns may have to make their hay. If they don't trade up, let's just assume they're not trading up into the first round, bottom of the first round Thursday.
Right.
What do they need to come out of
Nick, who do you like? I want to know who you like.
Dude, so that's a good point. And I've really been internalizing this, right? Because I don't want to say the same thing that everyone's saying. Like, the needs are defensive line and wide receiver. So to me, when I take a look at, okay, what do we really need? Say what you will about Deshaun Watson and like the perception of that off the field. On the field, you invested 3 first-round picks for that guy and $230 million fully guaranteed. You need this to work out. Defensively, you've spent your money. You've done your job defensively if you're Andrew Berry. You got Myles Garrett for 4 more years, and now you got Denzel Ward for 5 more years. There's your cornerstone
pieces. I think we're going to end up signing
Jadeveon Clowney. Yeah, right. We'll see. So, all that is a work in progress. Defensive tackle, I don't think that's a position that they value highly. So, to long answer to a short question, I think my biggest thing that needs to come out of this weekend is a dynamite, explosive playmaker that can do things with the football in their hands. Amari Cooper is one of the great route runners of the game right now. He's a good route runner. He's good at getting open, but we know after he gets open, there's little room for explosion. Same thing with Jarvis Landry. I would love for Jarvis to come back. I love the leader that Jarvis is, but on the football field, let's be real. It's a little Bill Belichick, Bernie Kosar diminishing skills. His skills are diminishing.
Injuries are starting to mount. Once the injuries start, they don't stop. I know Gerard Terry said that a bunch of times. Every player's said that a bunch of times.
Donovan Peoples-Jones showed you things last year, but he also showed you things of why he was a 6th-round pick. And Anthony Schwartz looks like a guy that's really fast in a straight line and is still learning how to wear football pads. So that's a complete work in progress. So to me, right now, you have one sure thing at wide receiver in Amari Cooper. And if you could trade up even a little bit, I'm not saying into the first round, because I don't think I don't understand how that would be possible. But I think if you could trade up into the early 40s or even late 30s, you could get a guy like Jahan Dotson out of Penn State. You could get George Pickens, who's a guy that they really like out of Georgia. Plays with a lot of passion, plays with a lot of energy. And now, okay, you're maybe cooking a little bit better than you were with just Amari Cooper and Deshaun Watson by themselves.
Yeah, wide receiver is kind of that position for me. I know you said it. A bunch of people have said wide receiver and defensive line so many times, but Padone just laid it out there perfectly. It seems like this team keeps getting route runners that can run routes well, but yak isn't there, or that big play ability isn't there. If we're going to look at this in just strictly football terms, and I think this might be the first time I'm actually doing this, Deshaun Watson, the quarterback, yes, he is a better football player than Baker Mayfield was. That's just fact out there if you watch the tape. And with his arm, the type of receivers that you can put around him, if you're going to bet on him and invest in him, you're going to need to put playmakers around him. And the playmakers that it's maybe not to the Jamar Chase talent level, but that type of skill set that, you just throw it up and they're going to go get it. I keep calling back to the Kansas City game in the regular season when Jamar Chase went off and, the numbers for Joe Burrow looked great after that game. There were several throws that Jamar Chase caught that Burrow just strictly threw it up in the air. And he knew that his wide receiver was going to come down with it. That is what you need on this team. A guy that can, when going gets tough, go up there and make a play. Energy starts to fill through the stadium or through the team. And then you start to get in on another role.
You look back at all, like most of the great quarterbacks, there's always a receiver that came up with them that's affiliated with them, like Peyton Manning had Marvin Harrison, then Reggie Wayne. Tom Brady had Wes Welker and then Julian Edelman. You need those guys. You want a guy that just come up with them so they just develop chemistry year after year after year after year. And then
Watson had D-Hop. So
I cannot believe they traded.
So now we got it. Now the task is out there for the Browns because you've seen that Deshaun Watson can be a home run hitter,
and he does make receivers better.
Yeah,
too.
he does. Like we've got Deshaun Jackson for whatever the bones of what's left of Deshaun Jackson, pleading for the Browns to sign him because of Deshaun Watson, because he knows that if I could get deep, if I could beat my man one-on-one,
which is about the only thing he can do now.
Right. Like the football will come his way. So I think that's the biggest thing for the Browns right now is just find.
I don't want the Deshaun Jacksons, the Will Fullers, the older guys that get hurt and stuff. I want him to draft a young guy, just come up with them.
Because Watson's here. Watson's here for 5 years. We know that. You get a rookie receiver in the second round. I get that you don't get that extra fifth year, but you still have 4 years. So that's a perfect brand new pairing of people to just bring together. It would be. I think that would be the smartest way to go about it. They've overhauled everything. You might as well keep it up and get more talent at wide receiver.
And this is where front offices, organizations, coaching staffs keep their jobs. Is in a situation like this, you don't have a first round pick. Yeah, wide receiver is deep, but the players that we're talking about were the ones that were being mocked to them when they had a first round pick. Now, if you end up getting stuck, and I know that they talk through every single scenario out at Berea, and they're always well prepared. But if you do have to pick at 44, and that is the position you've been talking about. We've talked about 2020. It was we need offensive line. They went offensive line. Last year, it was cornerback, linebacker. The first 2 picks, they did that, and they traded up a little bit to get JOK. Somehow he slipped. If there's a guy like that, they've shown that they're going to go get him. But if they have to stay at 44, you have to have done all of your homework and figure out who's that guy that, can be as impactful, maybe a little less so, but as impactful for this team, being that playmaker on the outside as a wide receiver, or if it's defensive line, either way, you got to go figure out who's that next tier and can still have a starter level impact.
Who wants a guy to take off the top more than anyone on that team is Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Because they're no longer with Watson and Amari Cooper, and you get a guy who can take off the top. They can't. Yeah, they ain't loading that box no more, and he's just gonna eat all day long, dude.
Yeah, and these are the conversations I would love to be having more of. Again, there's still the off the field situation. It's alleged, is still, and he's going to go through the legal process. It's just, again, for some people,
it's going to be a long time.
It's going to be a long time.
It's not happening. It's not happening now. So, I mean, it seems like the dude is going to play. I mean, he's going to be out there week 1. Like, there's going to be no suspension this year because it was agreed that none of the depositions and things like that will happen during football season. So, OTAs are going on right now. It's football season, baby. So,
and
looking at 2023 for that kind of stuff, similar to sports betting could be.